Okay, because since all the participant is lecturers, so we just have just sharing, it's a knowledge sharing. The first thing is I try to highlight the most important thing is how to organize the WebEx. The first is our networks. I found that from my experience, if we are teaching using the Wi-Fi that is not stable, the whole situation is quite horrible. So every time when I teach, I using the local area networks. I plug in the line. So this is the first thing. So we make sure that it's very stable. The second one is I found that because during the MCO, I discussed with my students, postgraduate students, and we found that the first time is I tried to sign in using the web browser. I sign in to the Chrome's browser, and then after that I start key in the WebEx. I sign in my accounts, and then after that I try to connect with my students. I found that the quality is worse, especially the picture resolution is worse, and the sound quality is very low. And after that, the second day is I try to install the apps, the WebEx apps, install in my system. So the second times when I sign in, it means I run the apps, the WebEx apps in my laptops. After that, when I run the apps and then I sign in using my passwords, and then when I link my students with my students, I found that the quality is totally different because it's yesterday and today's. I found that the first is the picture resolutions is very clear. The second one is the sound quality. So I found that if we want to deliver good qualities, we make sure that our line is good, especially if we are using the Wi-Fi, make sure it's stable. The second one is we prefer the local area networks. Okay, now we go to my topics. Normally when I teach, normally I will prepare my slide in the PowerPoints, but after that, I prefer to use PDF. So now I'm sharing the PDF. Okay, so when I'm using the PDF, so I can go to the view, and then I click the tools, and then click the commands, and then after that I click the opens. Then we'll get this kind of layouts. It's quite good because normally I will buy the digital pens. So we found that we have a few panels here. Okay, this is a panel pens. Okay, and then for example, we want to write some things, then we can write any equations in the PowerPoints, in the PDF. So that is quite efficient. Okay, the first thing is we discuss about the problem-based learnings. So in the definition of Wikipedia's PBL is not only focused on solving the problems, but is more focused on the development of other desirable skills and attributes for our future practice. So if possible, today we try to discuss on these two properties. Okay, I take one example. During the MCO, I conduct classes on mathematical method 3. I take the one example is a Fourier series. So this is an example of the Fourier series. So then I plug in the graph. I will show these equations. So and after that, we will show all these equations, the formulas, and then we try to get the results. So during this process, definitely we can solve it by manually. So we can write something here, cos ns ds, and then equal. So we can write a lot of manual calculations here. At the same time, we try to show some results. I prefer using the Wolfram Alpha. And after that, I will share the Wolfram Alpha. Okay, this is the Wolfram Alpha. So, but anyway, we need to familiar. Actually, Wolfram Alpha they are using the language of Mathematica. But we use this because it's free. As long as the student can online, then they can use it. And they are symbolic. So anyway, we need to know their command. Their command. So we just type the integrate sine nt for t equal to 0 to pi. And then we scroll down. And they will show all this. So this is the advantage is we have to make sure that the result is correct. The second one is sometimes the students want to solve their problems, so they need more robust integrations, and then make sure that the result is correct. So that's why they can use this kind of online software. Is a free software, and then they are symbolic. Symbolic, it means that you can plug in. If the n is 1, 2, 3 integers, and then we get that as the result. So this is one thing. After that, to the screen. Then we need to highlight to the students, especially some areas, the lecturer's expertise is still required. Even though how strong, how advanced is online system, the programs, especially we need to highlight to them. For example, when you are using a lot of software, they will plot this kind of graph, but the actual equation will be this. This is the actual equations. So we need to highlight to the students. So actually for these equations, so the graph will be like this. 0 to pi. So this is a pi. So excluding the pi's, so this is a graph. So I'm using the digital pens. And after that, excluding 0. And after that, it's pi to 2 pi. So pi to 2 pi. Pi to 2 pi. So actually, this is a graph. And then the whole thing will periodic. So that is the reason that the lecturer's expertise is important. We need to highlight to them. We need to highlight to them that actually this is a graph. But in reality, especially in the electronics, electric engineering, that they plot like this. Because why? Because it's a convenience. So in other words, when the students when they see these pictures, they are in your mind, they must imagine that the actual graph should be this. And after that, let's say after we discuss with students, and then we get this result. This is the result, and then we need to plot the result. So okay, this I will skip first. Okay, so to plot this result, then I will show you the MATLABs. Can you see the MATLABs? Actually, this is an octave. This is octave. So we need to highlight to the students. The difference between octave and the MATLAB is MATLAB is a commercial software. When the students install, they really is free, but they must install using the CICTs through the CICT websites. But when they are out of this UTN campus, they cannot use this MATLAB anymore. And it is a commercial software. When you want to buy it personally, there is cost you a few 10,000s. So that's why I try to encourage the students using the free version of the MATLAB. That is octave. We call it good news. But anyway, the good news, we need some installations. So normally in the class, we will conduct to the students, okay, we will give their some instruction how to install this kind of software. So actually, this is an advantage for them. So make them more familiar with this kind of software. So then we will show this. This is the quite simple programs, and then we run it. We run these programs. Because this is a symbolic programming, so they take some time. And then because this is a free software, but when you run the MATLABs, the result quite fast. It appears you give the result quite fast, even though they are symbolic programs. So they take some time a bit. Okay. Can you see the graph here? So this is a graph.
Yes, I can see it.
Nampak tak? Can you see the graph here?
Nampak.
Nampak? So this is a graph, and then from this graph, we try to explain them step by step. Okay, we need to explain to them step by step. So we'll move to, but because today's so webinar is quite half an hour, so that's why I keep maybe I will discuss more faster a bit. But when we discuss with the students, suppose we need to be slow and more details. Okay, so when discuss about this, So we try to discuss something beyond the class. For example, even though the subject is mathematical method 3, but it's no harms for us to discuss something about this. For example, f equal to f plus 2 over pi. Let me enlarge this a bit. We discuss some things behind this syllabus. For example, f equal to f plus 2 over pi divided by I multiplied sine is. What is this? So actually from here, we try to describe with them what is pandas, what is a left associative, and what is a precedence. Precedence means that in our operators, plus, multiply, divisions, and then which one is more important? The program will implement it. So this kind of things we need to explain to them. So for example here, okay, so what is this kind of left associative? For example, 1 divided by 2 divided by 2 multiplied with 3. So what is this? So actually this is equal to 3 over 4. So actually this is important. Even though our subject is mathematical trees, but sometimes when we have some opportunities, we try to highlight this kind of information to them. For example, I show you again. So if we have times, actually there are a lot of things we need to discuss. For example, I show you the Wolfram alpha. Let me see with my Wolfram alpha. Okay, can you see this Wolfram alpha? Okay. For example, now we try to write something on, for example, 1 over 2 over 2 multiply 4. Yeah, they will show all the, no, multiply 3. They will show all this kind of explanation to you. So we don't look down on this kind of things. Especially when we want to give them the foundation of programming or this kind of left associative precedence is important. Okay, we go back to our slide. And then what is pandas? Pandas is powers, exponents, multiply, divisions, additions, subtract. So they will follow this kind of precedence. And also we try to emphasize to them, so what is symbolic programming a bit. So we discussed then what is this. Okay, now when we after we discuss the result, we try to more emphasize on the result. So we try to highlight to them. So this is our result. Okay, this result actually we can move the half to the left hand side. So function minus half is equal to this. So this function will become function minus half. So it's a f star. So this is a f star. So why I want to emphasize on this? Because we need to develop the observation of the students. The students need to observe the graph. When they observe the graph, they learn faster. So what is f star? So f star will be this. So this is f star. So they are going out. The graph is going out. So this is a 0. So let me see. So this is our axis. This is our axis. So this is our axis. So the whole graph will be f star. So my handwriting is not good. So the whole thing is this is the origins. And then we try to emphasize on this graph. So we go to the next slide. Okay, we found that this f star is equal to this. And in the octave, maybe I no need to show octave. We will focus on this because I already plot here. So when I run my octave programs, I will show that this is a graph for sine t. Actually, sine t is another one I omit. And this is sine 3t. This is a phi 3. It's actually 5s. And then 7s. So this is all integers. So all this is a sine. And then after you combine all this, then you get this f star. So what is f star? So this is f star. This graph is f star. So when I teach, especially in this part, I spend quite a long time because we try to emphasize some basic concept to them. For example, what is this sign? This is a graph size. So it's an odd functions. What is an odd function? It's reflect to the origin. So through the origin, it means that this point will reflect to here through this origin. So when this graph is odd functions plus odd functions plus odd function plus odd function. So this is a all the odd function with plus multiply with some coefficients. Actually, the result must be f star should be odd function. So that's why our graph is odd functions. What is the odd? So this point you will reflect through the origin to this point. This point will reflect through the origin to this point. So we need to emphasize on this. The second thing is what you want to highlight to them is, you see, sine is a continuous function. The function that is continuous. So it means that garisan yang takkan putus. Okay? We try to explain to them. So what is sine phi s? Actually, it's continuous function. All this one is continuous. When you combine, the graph must be a continuous. So this is the things that we need to highlight to them. And what is the original graph? The original graph is this. You see this? This is the original graph. What is this graph? And then we try to emphasize to them. So this graph is this. Okay, discontinuous. Discontinuous. And after that, this discontinuous. Discontinuous. So the whole graph is discontinuous, you see? Discontinuous. It sounds like this. And so we try to enlighten to the students. Sometimes when we solve the problem, especially for cities, what is we need to explain to them. What is actually the main purpose of the forest city? Actually, is solving the problems. Solving the problems. So, in other words, this continuous actually is not important. So that's why this graph, when we expand it, we expand in the forest cities. So why this forest city is continuous? So this continuous, you sum together. So this graph is a continuous, but our original graph is discontinuous. So that's why we try to highlight to the students. Even though this graph after forest cities is slightly different with the original, but what is the importance of the discontinuous? Actually, it's not important because we are one solving the problems. And then this discontinuous, when they are important when we are talking about the definitions. So we need to share this kind of the experience to them. Okay. After that, we were talking about some points. For example, we talk about this graph, this line. This graph is represented by the series, for the series. And then let's say we take one point here. When the s is pi over 2 is here. So what is the result here? The result is 1. So we put the s, the times is equal to pi over 2, then the result will be 1. And then we put all these values. What is this value? Is pi over 2. Put it inside here. Substitute inside. And then just key in using the calculator. Then we will find this is the result. So this is the result. Then after that, we simplify it. Then we will get this. So this is a series. So from here, sometimes, especially some students will be lost in the space, especially why? Because suddenly from the velocity, they move to the series solutions. So we need to emphasize everything must based on the graph. This graph is important. In other words, what matters, no matter what value you substitute inside, they must have the result because this graph f is continuous. Why? Because it's the representation of all the continuous functions. So they will get this. So why this? This is an infinity sum. Then sometimes we can show to them. Let's say we show to them with Wolfram alpha. Actually, we need to give them some soft skills so that they can learn in beyond the class. For example, here, okay, can you see this Wolfram alpha? Then we show them 1 minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 5, and then minus 1 over 7, and then plus dot dot dot. So what is the result? The times of bit, it's very depend to the networking. If the networking is strong, then okay. The second will be depend to the server. In the nearby server Wolfram Alpha is not stable, then the line will become slower a bit. Let me see. 1 minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 5. One minus 3 plus 1 over 5. Okay. Maybe I put this a bit. So maybe hopefully they will calculate faster a bit. Okay. Maybe 3 terms. So 1 minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 5, and then sums. Then we get pi over 4. So this is the result. So that's when the students, especially when they were going outside, especially for industrial training, so that they will know how to use some this kind of tools to solve their problems. This is the first thing. The second thing is we need to highlight to the students, even though we are using this, but we don't forget, somehow some students will become the programmers because they will learn some basic programmings, maybe like MATLAB, C programs. So they must know prepare themselves to become the programmers. So when we see these websites, actually there's some artificial intelligence inside. You see, when you type these 3 terms and then you put the 3 dots, these programs, actually these online engine programs, and they will know that this is a C submissions. So we try to enlighten them. We try to encourage them to think how to develop this kind of software. That is, we have some element of AI. So they will detect all these patterns and then they will calculate. Then the answer will be pi over 4. So somehow we need to give them the encouragement to highlight them what is their futures of this kind of research. Okay, let me see where is my okay, let me see the chat. Okay. Okay. Before I go to another one, maybe my slot is half an hour. Maybe I didn't discuss about this. This is another one. This is plotting using the Python. Okay, maybe I come to this. Okay. This is the last part I want to discuss. Actually, in my math method 3, we talking about the complex numbers, and then there's some theory talking about this the harmonies, and then when this is analytic, 2 terms are analytics, then these 2 family will be the normal vector corresponding to the 2 curve are orthogonals. So we try to highlight to them what is this meaning of orthogonals. So the first thing is we try to show them some programs. Okay, let me show you the programs. Okay, this one will be implicit plot. Okay, so we share some the news program tools. That is Python. Can you see the Python here? So okay, even though this is quite far a bit from the math method trees, but anyway, we need to highlight them. So actually, the equation is quite simple. So that's to make sure that they are more familiar with this kind of new programming language, explore them to them. So we try to highlight to them what is the difference between the symbolic and numerical programming. So this kind of like Python's, MATLABs or TIFF, they are symbolics and also the numeric programming. Like C programming, the Pascal, the Fortran, they are numeric, totally numeric programming. So for example, I will show you something here. This is implicit. No, I show the complex number. Oh yeah, this is a complex numbers. Okay, this is a complex numbers. Yes, so we need to highlight to them. So actually, it's can you see the graph? Actually, this graph, actually is same with my slide. My slide will be okay. Okay, this is like actually the same. This is all from alpha, but this one is in a slide form. So we need to show them what is the meaning. The meaning is equal to, for example, we let the z equal to s plus iy is a complex numbers, and then we try to write the equations, the functions in terms of z. So that's why they are analytic, can be differentiated, and then we expand it. Then we get the real and imaginary. Actually, all these things can be done in the Python. Because why? Because the Python have the power of symbolic computations. So we need to explain to them what is symbolic computations. And then we can plot these two implicitly. So it means that s squared minus y squared plus s equal to 0. The second will be 2sy plus y minus 1 equal to 0. Then you get the two graph here. You see the two graph. And then this will be the intersections. And then we found that these intersections, the angle here is 90 degree. 90 degree, 90 degrees. So in conclusions, they have a lot of things behind this. So I prefer to the problem-based learning. So it means that we're talking about the one problems, and then a lot of things we can discuss and we can highlight. We based on some examples, and then for examples, these equations, z equations, we change it as long as they still can differentiables. Then these two function must be analytics. So we explain to them why they were so special, so what we call it marvelous property is because they are defined by mathematics. Mathematics show that they must be orthogonal. So this is beautiful of mathematics how we can define as long as this will be the function of z, then these two terms must be orthogonal. So this is how we can discuss to the students. And after we discuss this, and then we can give some projects. We ask them to observe and then to solve the problems. So that is problem-based learning. So before I finish my uh, we call it my slide, I would like to emphasize here again. So what is problem-based learning? There's the two keywords, the development of the other desirable skill. The other desirable skill. So that's why sometimes I found that when I supervise the industrial training students, there's some skill they are not well equipped. So for example, Excel. So even though we teaching one subject mathematics, but anyway, if we have time, we try to elaborate some other things that related with the problem. So that is what we call it problem-based learning. The second one is a future practice. So if possible, we try to introduce the student what is the future's apps, programs that is important for them. So this is my slides of discussion of sharing. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to pass the topics to session to Dr. Ahmad Kushadi. Thank you very much. Dr. Ahmad?
Okay. Yeah, okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much to Associate Professor Dr. Yeak for the speak on knowledge sharing on student-centered learning using teaching and learning tools. So today I would like to open Q&A sessions to the audience participants. You can ask anything that you would like to ask. regarding to the talk today? Or if you macam shy cat, you can write down on the chat bar here. Anyone? Dr. Yeak,
Yes.
kalau macam tu saya tanya one question. So you tadi kalau okay, yap. Okay, tak apa. Macam tadi, kiranya during the online classes, you do a live session to the student.
Yeah, it's memang live. Saya lupa record lah.
Tak apa,
Tapi Dr. Kau dah record lah.
saya dah record. Tak apa.
Memang every time saya memang live. The first thing is saya akan sign in UTN website. Saya akan activate saya punya QR code tu. Lepas tu QR code tu saya akan post dalam saya punya apa tu yang ini. Dan saya minta pelajar semua scan saya punya QR code tu because ini adalah black and white. So every class saya ada saya punya attendance. Yang first thing. The second one is every time saya minta pelajar sign in. Saya become the host. And then saya minta semua pelajar tu mutekan dia punya voice and also the video. Because sometimes pelajar dia gunakan wifi yang tak stable. So let's say the whole system dia akan menjadi slow. So saya akan minta mereka mutekan and also stop the video. Ada masalah mereka type dalam chat ataupun bila saya dah bincang, bila mereka nak tanya soalan, mereka boleh buka mute and then they can ask me directly ataupun they can show their videos bila mereka nak tanya. So it means that when I give the lectures using the PowerPoint or PDF, saya minta mereka mute kan, and also saya pun stop my video, hanya dengar suara saja.
So what is the challenging that you face during the online classes? Probably macam sebab Dr. Yeak kata ni program based learning kan, dia kalau kita perasan it's not easy jugalah untuk handle program based learning. Kalau online teaching, apa challenging yang Dr. Yeak face untuk tu?
Dia macam ambil sikit masa because bila set out, bila pelajar tak biasakan diri sometimes pelajar tu quite not good discipline. Bila kelas saya pukul 9 kan, sometimes 9, 10, 9:20 mereka baru sign in. Then but for me I not very strict I not very strict. So sometimes it's because they are not punctual. Okay, this is the first. The second one is because I want to show some things even though I using a digital pens, and I also record because every time my student ask me to record. So hopefully this will be okay. Some students they cannot access to the internet. When I record my video, then I upload in my e-learning. So I think the big challenge is maybe the facility of the students. Their internet line is not stable. The second one is maybe their gadgets, maybe their handphone or their laptops is not so advanced. Because actually when we're online, especially we want to watch the videos online, then our laptops we must have certain criteria. For example, the RAM, the local area memory, landed area memory, RAM, must be, if possible, 8 gig and above. So if your laptops, your RAM, landed access memory is 4 gigs, so sometimes they are not very smooth. So actually this is one requirement because especially like media player, we playing the media, we have to make sure that the RAMs it must be, if possible, 8 gig and above. There's a difference, hard disk and the RAMs and the cache memory. So, but for videos, especially online, the RAM is the most important.
Okay, Dr. Yeak, thank you so much for the questions. We have a question from the audience here, from Prof Niza. Any student has any difficulties joining the class? Soalan dia, any student has any difficulties joining the class? I mean because of very low internet connectivity. Mungkin sama kot jawapan tadi. Okay.
Ada lah. Every time in my class, for example, 2 hours. Sometimes always I heard the sound. The sound is joining and then leave the class. Joining leave the class. Every time the sound is every time is beeping. So I think maybe it's I only remind the students many times. They need to sign in using the apps. I'm not sure whether they are really signing in using the apps. Actually, it's important because that is my own experience. When you install the apps inside your laptops, then it means your laptop you occupies maybe 20 megabytes of memory inside your laptop. So definitely there's a difference, totally different with browser. You run browser and then you sign in your your accounts, and straight away you link to the WebEx events. So that the whole process, they are only using your RAM, the local area memory. So if your RAM is 4 gig, then it's a 4 gig. So that's why access to the systems in a smooth manners. We need to highlight to them, all the students, if possible, try to install the apps, the web apps in the laptops, and then they try to sign in using the app. So it means that they run the apps. After that, they key in their password, key in their account, and then join to my class. Don't join through the browser.
Okay, through the apps. Okay. Okay. Dr. Yeak. Dr. Yeak dengar I tak?
Ya, ya, dengar.
Ada. Okay, for next question from Dr. Sharifah Suhaila. Dr. Yeak, thank you for sharing. Okay. Do the students need to download MATLAB for your class or any software?
Actually no need, because my subject is not numerical programming. My subject is math method 3. So that's why I will show them. I will show them. Actually, in my class, I will have one special slide how to install the Octave. It's a free software on MATLAB, and how to install the Pythons, all this kind of software. I will give them the slide, and then some step how to install it step by step. Because this kind of software is we need to go in programming. We need to install all the package, and then we install the library. I will show to them. I will highlight to them, encourage them to install. But it's not compulsory. So at the same time, because this kind of MATLAB programming, they are symbolic and numerical. So I want to explore to them what is a numerical and what is symbolic, and they can visualize the graph. So I think this is okay. But normally I encourage them to using the free software, because during the MCO the student is not inside the campus. So that's why they are definitely cannot access to the MATLAB. MATLAB is a licensed software. Only the students stay inside the campus is allowed to use.
Oh, you mean they need to use the Wi-Fi TM lah, then you can use for the MATLAB.
Yes. Because that is very expensive, and the MATLAB software is very expensive.
Okay. Okay. So for the next question from Dr. Nurul Aini Jaafar, nak tanya, for Wolfram yang tadi Dr. Yeak tunjuk, adakah Dr. Yeak minta pelajar guna juga dalam kelas atau Dr. Yeak sahaja yang guna?
Oh, macam ni, especially assignments. So I give the assignment, I ask them to draw the picture, everything. And then I will ask the student, okay, if possible, in your assignment, you need to plug in the pictures. No matter, so you can follow my approach. You can use the Wolfram Alpha to plot a graph, and then the graph you add in inside your Microsoft Word as a project. Or you can using the Octave, it's MATLAB, or you can using the Pythons, or you can using all the other software. Anyway, I need graph. And then some equations. So I've given the templates. So I think that is important for them to train it. But I give them the freedoms. I not just concentrate on maybe MATLAB or Python. But anyway, I had it to them. What is a future programming? Why there's a difference between like Octave with the C programming? I will explain to them. For example, I will explain to them. For example, in UTM, every time we organize MSIG. Malaysians, industrials, scientifics, what?
MSG. MSG.
The SAT every year conducts. After what's I already forgot.
MMSC. MMSC
Malaysians
Mathematical Modeling
MSIG.
Ada dua, MMSC dengan MSC. Dia ada dua.
Dia apa tu, Malaysians
Malaysia Industry Study Group.
Malaysia. Itu. Study group. So I will explain to them, share the experience to them. So normally is we try to collect all the problems from the industrials, and then we try to follow up all these programs problem, and we found that problem can be explained in mathematical models. Then we try to organize some events, 1 week events, and then we try to invite some professors from the Oxford, from the local universities, and then they sit down for 1 week, and then they solve. Then I will try to explain to the students what software they are using. They are not using the Fortran. They are not using the C programming. All this advanced programming. They are using MATLAB. Why? Because easy to be used. So that's why nowadays the Octave actually MATLAB is quite easy. quite popular because why? Easy to use, and especially they can easily explain to show all these pictures, graph, and they are programming wise. They are programming, so it means that MATLAB or Octave, they are structured programming. So you have if look you have we call it projects. You have all different files. You are linking some sort of library. So we try to expand to them so that when the students are exposed to the programming language, and then they are not afraid to it. The second thing is, especially if we have time, we expand something on that one, so that we make sure that the students are more prefer, and then they have love the programming a bit lah. So even though we are teaching the math method 3.
So it means even though you show them by using the wireframe, but you still open to them to use any kind of software lah kan, Prof? Doktor?
Yes.
Ah, Lepas tu saya ada soalan yang Prof Nizar juga. Tadi Dr. Yeak ada cakap bahawa nanti Dr. Yeak akan record kan dan akan masuk dalam e-learning, betul?
Yes.
Okay, jadi kalau student dia still ada internet connection yang very low, sama ada dia maksudnya dia still can watch the recording from e-learning as you mentioned before that. Tapi ada tak yang macam student dia ada very low connection sampai tahap dia tak boleh masuk pun e-learning? Ada tak berlaku macam tu?
Pernah berlaku. Ini my set memory lah. Masa tu hujan dua, because saya hujan dua, saya synchronize dengan Total Zaitun. So kita dah setkan masa dia. We cannot simply change. Lepas tu suddenly my students call me. Dia I forgot. I think SMS me. Dia kata dia tak boleh access to the internet. Semua tak boleh because dia dekat Sabah. Internet sangat-sangat slow. Tak ada internet. Okay, saya kata tak apa lah, nanti we try to follow up. Masa ujian 2 tu, saya 1 hour before saya dah contact dia. SMS boleh tapi WhatsApp pun tak boleh. So finally, he cannot access to my questions. Soalan tu dia tak boleh baca dah. So the only way adalah saya kena call dia. And then saya bacakan setiap soalan tu one by one. So that is my worst situation lah. But it's a good experience lah. So I found that saya spend around half an hour, saya explain semua soalan tu, termasuk integration, semua simbol matematik saya cakap dengan dia. But by normal talking lah, normal hands voice. So because saya kena make sure that dia akan receive semua saya punya soalan tu dengan betul lah. Then after that I give him her extra half an hour to answer my test tu.
Kiranya Dr. Yeak akan baca satu-satu lah macam f x y equal to
betul. Betul. dy ds sama dengan psi bagi s itu sebelah. Because I cannot change my schedule.
Okay. So very hard juga lah sebenarnya. But as you mentioned lah, this is a new experience. Okay.
But hopefully they come back to the campus. I think everything should be okay.
Yeah. We hope so lah. So the next from the Encik Ibrahim, what is your favorite part in online teaching?
Actually, I want to show them something that is a difference. I want to highlight some concepts. For example, more like philosophy a bit. For example, the odd functions, when you plug the odd function, when you plug until infinity, the result must be the odd functions. So I prefer explain this kind of mathematics. So quite down to earth. So bila pelajar tu dengar tu, mereka senang tu faham. Especially when the graph is continuous plus continuous graph plus continuous graph. We campur-campur sampai infinity. Then all the continuous graph you plus, the answer must be continuous. Actually, this kind of things is more like philosophy discovery a bit. Saya suka bentuk macam ni. So bila pelajar tengok tu, dia boleh observe the graph. So saya suka tunjukkan graph, especially saya tunjukkan what is the boundary conditions. Easy to show the graph, and then we rotate the graph, especially 3D graph. Saya akan bincangkan dia. So that is quite my interesting point lah. So especially I want to visualize, to deliver some concepts by visualizations.
So basically kalau physical class, Dr. Yeak akan kalau graph tu by hand ke or still juga using the software yang dia use in the
Bila face to face tu, memang saya akan download software tu dalam PC tu lah. Dan PC dekat mana? C18. Memang saya install Octave, yes.
Oh,
Dia ke dalam.
and
Dan saya
apply
akan tunjukkan dia.
dan gunakannya balik untuk online teaching.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Nice, Doctor. So kita ada another question from Dr. Shajirawati. How do we strategize on the exam questions knowing that student know how to use the tools to get the answer? Because student tahu already using the tools, so macam mana kita nak strategize the exam question? Dr. Yu macam mana?
Actually, frankly speaking, that is a possible lah. We set the question very high level, but the problem is, I very also very frankly speaking, sometimes lecturer we are busy, so sometimes we can't afford to design this kind of very high level of problem. Actually, it's possible, if the lecturer given the abundance of times, and then we are not busy with all the other things, actually it's possible. We try to design some problem that is not easy to be solved by online AI technologies. That is a possible. That is a possible. But we need to get our head a bit. That is a possible. Tapi dia susah sikit. There is some apps they quite powerful, especially the handphone app. But di sini saya susah nak tunjukkan lah. There is a few apps they are very powerful. Bukan saja Wolfram Alpha. There is a few apps more powerful. They can snapshot, take the photos, and then they analyze the result. That is a possible. That is a possible. So that's why when the technology is more and more advanced, this kind of things are more and more hard to reduce. Then depend to us unless we come up with some questions that is very high levels. Macam tadi saya tunjukkan, when the graph it is continuous, for example, we need to ask the student to plot the actual graph. Pelajar dia takkan plot because why? Because the actual continuous graph cannot be plotted by any software. Hopefully, maybe there's a new software saya tak tahu lah. So that is it's continuous. And then only the students they fully understand the mathematical definition, then they can plot. So if you plot any software out to my knowledge, macam Python, MATLAB, or Mathematica, semua graph adalah macam signal, semua adalah continuous. Tapi in the actual dia ada discontinuous, dia ada bulatan kosong Itu that is more theoretical. So for the meantime, tak ada lagi they can break through this kind of borders.
Oh, it means that kita as a lecturer need to know the
itu saya punya jawapan lah. Yeah. Actually, sometimes saya pun suka nak sharekan macam Excel, even those Google, saya suka nak tunjukkan juga. So because all these things useful for them, especially when because my student is second year, third year they are practicals. So sometimes saya akan tunjukkan Excel, how to do some calculation in Excel. Tapi dengan syarat mesti ada cukup masa lah. I will show to them a bit. Especially plot the graph. Macam method 3 saya akan guna Excel tunjukkan some things. It is possible.
Nice sebenarnya. Oh, banyak jugalah sebenarnya Dr. Yeak approach software to the students kan. Wow.
Tapi take time disadvantage take time because I want to free the page sharing, stop sharing and then start sharing, stop sharing, start sharing.
Yeah. Macam Dr. Yeak buat tadi lah, macam Dr. Yeak buat tadi, sharing yang ni. Okay, faham. Okay. Tapi lepas ni saya rasa Dr. Yeak pun kena buat juga untuk kita orang kot, kami semua. Software kan. Sebab ada juga yang betul yang Dr. Yeak cakap, a few apps yang boleh snap the question dan terus dapat jawapan. Itu pun sebenarnya bila online teaching ni lagi challenging lah sebenarnya.
Saya tak sure ataupun saya tunjukkan di sini, tapi saya rasa dia ada apps tapi mungkin susah sikit. Saya gunakan handphone app saya, tapi bila saya gunakan video kamera laptop saya tu mungkin kamu tak nampak lah.